Hey guys, it's XeqtR from the Tenn Os. Today I'm bringing you a video of our 100 wave Grineer defense on Olympus. With this we use the frames Frost, Trinity, Nova, and Rhino. The reason that we use these frames, and most specifically why we use Frost as opposed to a Loki or a Valbin or something like that, is because we learned that the napalm Grineers do not show up on defense. They only show up on survival. So with that, they're not consistently shooting at the frost bubble and getting inside of it and killing us. On the other hand though, there are bombards. Bombards will explode on the outside of the frost bubble, and they'll kind of explode in a radial area. And what this does is it kills anyone that's standing somewhat close to the edges. So what I'm doing in this as the frost is placing a frost globe in the middle of the cryo and up by the two corners. What this does is it adds an extra one on the outside, so when the bombards rockets hit the frost bubbles on the outside, they don't go all the way through and hit us in the main one. The next frame that we're using is Trinity. Trinity is really important because we're running a energy vampire build. What this is it's high strength, low duration, and I'll put a video in the description where Capitulate can explain this further. What's good about this build is that it pretty much can kill anything. I would say it's probably the highest single target DPS in the game in terms of an ability, and it pretty much can kill anything in about 3 seconds. Because of this, Capitulate is soloing one side all by himself, I would say. I'm helping out a little bit, but mainly he's able to solo it with Energy Vampire along with his Vectis. This also gives us plenty of energy. The next frame we're using is Nova. This is pretty self-explanatory just because of the AoE damage. It's also good because it increases the damage that we do to the enemies that are infected by Molecular Prime. The other good thing is that Molecular Prime also slows the enemies. This is actually the main reason we brought Nova, because the slowing obviously gives us more time to shoot them before they get to the frost bubble. Rhino is the last frame that we brought. Rhino is important because not only does the roar increase our damage of our weapons and our frames, but it also brings the Rhino Stomp. This is important because if the Grineer were to get close to the frost bubble or inside of it, we would be able to crowd control them and be able to save the cryo. The next important thing I want to talk about is our aura. As you can see, we're using a Trinity with this energy build that I was talking about. And with this, there is no energy siphon. We're not running 4 energy siphons, we're actually running corrosive projection. It's an aura that reduces the armor of enemies, and I'll put it on the screen here pretty soon. So what this does is it lowers the armor of the enemies, and I'm sure a lot of you know about this aura, or even a lot of you probably know that you can stack it up to 100%. In my opinion, this is the only way that you can really go high wave on Grineer. And even in pre 2.0, this was pretty much the only way you could go high wave defense. So what makes corrosive projection work is that you need to stack it up so it is exactly 100%. Anything lower than that, they'll have a chance of having armor, obviously, and anything over actually bugs the game to where your damage will be reverted to 1. So what's important is finding people who have the correct mod of corrosive projection. What we found works best is obviously having 4 people with 25%. What you could do is somehow try to find someone who has an extra one that could put it to 10%. This is if they would have the mod capacity to spare. and the other people could run the 330%. However it works out, it just needs to be exactly 100% for this to work. Because of this, our weapons are modded for viral. Viral is the best weapon against flesh. And I know a lot of you who might not be following along with what I'm saying would be misunderstood and think that Grineer isn't flesh because they have armor. But you have to remember that corrosive projection has now made it so they literally have 0 armor. As you can see when I hover over enemies when I target them, there is no armor bar, it's completely HP. And so that's because of that corrosive projection stacking to 100%. So you actually don't want to run corrosive damage when you're running corrosive projection. I know that's a little bit confusing because the names are similar, but viral is the best against flesh. And because of that aura stacked up and they have no armor, all Grineer are essentially flesh. Only the rollers aren't. The next thing I want to talk about is a big wall in endgame at all. Survival, defense, you name it. Pretty much, once you get to a high level, your frames begin to drop significantly. What I mean by this, for example, is that when we did our 205 wave corpus defense on Outer Terminus, I would say for the last 100 waves, we had about an average of 10 frames per second. And that's really what made it the most difficult out of anything. Because enemies not only spawn slower and the map takes a lot longer, but you're also on the verge of crashing, and we have had multiple crashes because of this. Until DE gets this fixed, the best suggestion I can give to you is either figure out a way to make a host migrate, and hopefully it'll allow the person to come back in. We've had some difficulties with this actually working, so I wouldn't actually suggest this as a true strategy. That's all I have for you today, guys. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it if you guys could leave a comment below. If you have any questions, please leave that below. And most of all, we would love to hear you guys' suggestion of the next video that you want us to do. Once again, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.